So there's going to be a lot of tough decisions Barack's going to have to make. A lot of very tough decisions, including on foreign policy. And here's the point I want to make. Mark my words. Mark my words. It will not be 6 months before the world tests Barack Obama like they did John Kennedy. The world is looking. We're about to elect a brilliant 47-year-old president of the United States of America. Remember I said standing here, you don't remember anything else I said. Watch, we're going to have an international crisis, a generated crisis, to test the mettle of this guy. And he's going to have to make some really tough, I don't know what the decision's going to be, but I promise you it will occur. As a student of history, and having served with 7 presidents, I guarantee you it's going to happen. I can give you at least 4 or 5 scenarios from where it might originate.
Helps Republicans. The McCain campaign on the prospect of another attack on U.S. soil. Says John McCain's top advisor, quote, certainly it would be a big advantage for him.
I cannot imagine why he would say it. It's not true.
But Charlie Black admits to Fortune not only would another terror attack here in this country help McCain and the Republicans, but one in Pakistan last December already did. The assassination of Benazir Bhutto in December was, Black says, an unfortunate event, and it helped us. The nexus of politics and terror and John McCain, the political explosion with Dana Milbank, the unholy merging of counter-terror and presidential ambition with Richard Clarke. Good evening. This is Monday, June 23rd, 134 days until the 2008 presidential election. The chief campaign strategist for Senator John McCain has told Fortune magazine that a terrorist attack on U.S. soil before the election would be a, quote, big advantage for the presumptive Republican nominee. Our 5th story on the countdown, the first rule of October Surprise is you do not talk about October Surprise.
Outrageous.
Bobby, let's discuss the article you've written in Rolling Stone. Allegations of, you fear a lot of voter fraud coming? I know that today the Supreme Court went on your side and sided with Ohio's top election officials in a fight with the state Republican Party over voter registration. The judges overruled a lower court ruling that ordered Ohio Secretary of State to do more to help counties verify voter eligibility. What are your concerns?
Well, the voter eligibility issue really is it's a sideshow, Larry, and all of this stuff that we've heard recently about Acorn falsely registering people. It's really not an issue in our country. Over the past, since 2002, there's been 270 million people who have voted, and there's only been 24 proven cases across the country of actual voter fraud. The stuff that Acorn was involved in really was people who were working for Acorn defrauding Acorn. You hear these stories about somebody filing 18 different registrations for the same person. Well, there's actually nothing illegal about that. You can file as many registrations as you want. It's only the last one that counts. And that, you know, they have Mickey Mouse registered or whatever. But Mickey Mouse is not going to vote. It's really, you know, those people who were falsely registered. It was people that Acorn hired that what they were paying per registration that went to a phone book and just copied down names or made up names and then collected their money from Acorn. But none of those people are actually going to show up and vote. You know, David Iglesias, who was the prosecutor, was the U.S. attorney under the Bush Justice Department for the state of New Mexico, was ordered by his boss, Alberto Gonzalez, and by the Karl Rove machine in the White House to go out and prosecute voter fraud because they wanted to gin up this hysteria about it. He looked for 2 years. They gave him 100 names off of Acorn list. He was not able to find a single case in New Mexico of anybody ever showing up and trying to vote twice or vote under somebody's name. It's just not something that happens.
Let me get a break and we'll come right back.
Honest-to-God exclusive breaking news. This is going to be huge, and it's legitimate journalism that my friend Harry, who I do research with, and I have been doing throughout the evening. Joe Plumber is a fake. It didn't quite passed the smell test, as they say for us, so we started looking into it, and Harry determined that there really was not any business in the appropriate area that could be it. He came up with a couple phone numbers. I called one of them. One of them looked like a home number, so I didn't call it. The one that was the business number just goes to some chick's house. It's no business at all. So I didn't leave a message. Turns out this particular person is also related to a Joe. That's kind of interesting. That sort of confirms things a little bit for us, but still we weren't 100% certain we knew what we were coming up with. It turns out that, the name we were using was Joe Wurzelbacher, and I'm not going to tell you all the ways that we used to get to that conclusion because it's not very interesting, but that was eventually confirmed by MSNBC and CBS. That's the name of the person. There are only 173 Wurzelbachers in the country, which means it's highly likely that a lot of them are related to each other. Upon looking further into Joe Wurzelbacher and other Wurzelbachers, we soon discovered that there's a Richard Wurzelbacher in the Cincinnati area who passed away in 2004, was born in 1954, and was indicted in the savings and loan scandal and is closely connected to Charles Keating, is actually his son-in-law. Alright? Now, I don't know what the direct connection is between Richard Wurzelbacher and Joe Wurzelbacher, but since they're from the same place, and there are only 173 Wurzelbachers in the country, I would bet they're related. They're also of appropriate age to either be an uncle or a father. Joe Wurzelbacher, according to Reunion.com, is 33. Anyway, so I'm just going to draw some connections for you real quick. There's no business. The whole thing was a fake, and Wurzelbacher, although he looks very blue-collar, is connected to the Keating 5 scandal, and we all know how John McCain is connected to that. This looks very bad. This looks incredibly bad for John McCain.
He's been whining lately, last few days, that his opponents have reminded America about his past relationship with domestic terrorist William Ayers. Ayers was the leader in the Weather Underground, an organization that claimed responsibility for a dozen bombings between 1970 and 1974. In his memoir, Ayers confessed to participating in the Pentagon bombing, not the 9/11 one, the one in 1972. Obama likes to point out, which is true, he was only 8 back then. Nobody's tying Obama to those bombings. But what you are tying him to is William Ayers, a man who, on September 11th in the New York Times, he reflected on his own extremist past.